Welcome to the Deep Dive. You're a senior leader, you're busy, and you need to quickly understand what truly matters for your organization's resilience. Today, we're cutting through the noise with a focused look at ISO 22301.2019. That's the standard for Business Continuity Management Systems, or BCMS. Think of this as, the essential briefing to help you determine if the investment in a BCMS genuinely delivers a return that outweighs the effort involved.
Exactly. The question we're tackling is this. For top management, do the tangible benefits and the inherent value of a robust BCMS justify the time, the resources, and, well, yes, the organizational adjustments that come with putting it in place?
Yeah.
We've got a senior management briefing on ISO 22301 from QLM Consulting, and it really zeroes in on what leadership needs to understand and commit to.
Okay, let's dive right into the core of leadership's role then.
Yeah.
The briefing emphasizes that it's not enough to just delegate responsibility for business continuity. Top management has to visibly champion it. We're talking about clauses 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3 here. What does that active demonstration of leadership really look like, in practice?
Well, it means ensuring that the BCMS isn't treated as some separate entity, but rather woven into the fundamental processes of the organization.
Right.
Think about it. If leadership consistently refers to business continuity in strategic discussions, if it's like a standing item in key meetings, that sends a powerful message throughout the company.
It's about more than just approving a budget. It's really about integrating the principles into how decisions are made.
Definitely.
And that has a tangible impact on resources, doesn't it? The briefing points out that top management must ensure the BCMS has what it needs. What are some maybe real-world examples where that kind of leadership makes a difference?
Absolutely. I mean, imagine a scenario where IT requests funding for a backup system that's, crucial for business continuity. If top management understands the strategic importance and actually prioritizes that funding, it directly strengthens the organization's resilience.
Okay.
Conversely, if those requests are constantly deprioritized in favor of maybe more immediate concerns, the BCMS remains vulnerable. Visible leadership ensures those crucial resources are genuinely available, not just requested.
Yeah, it's about setting the tone from the top.
Yeah.
And the briefing also highlights the role of top management in clearly communicating why business continuity matters. How does that communication translate into a more resilient organization?
Well, when leaders articulate the importance of business continuity, perhaps by sharing examples of disruptions and how preparedness mitigated the impact, or maybe by linking it directly to the company's mission and values, it fosters a culture where everyone understands their role in maintaining resilience. It moves it beyond just a compliance exercise to a shared organizational value,
That makes sense. It's about making business continuity part of the company's DNA. Then there's the business continuity policy itself. The briefing underscores that top management is responsible for establishing this and, critically, aligning it with the overall strategic goals. This isn't just a document, it's a strategic statement, right?
Precisely. The policy signals to employees, customers, stakeholders, everyone, that the organization takes business continuity seriously. When it's clearly linked to the strategic direction, it reinforces that resilience isn't some separate concern, but actually a core element of achieving the company's objectives.
Right.
And the briefing makes it clear this policy needs to be actively communicated and accessible, even to relevant external parties, building that crucial trust.
Transparency as a foundation for confidence. Okay. Finally, in this area of leadership, the briefing emphasizes the assignment of clear roles and responsibilities for the BCMS. Why is it so critical that top management takes ownership of this specific piece?
Because without clearly defined ownership at various levels, accountability just becomes diffused. It gets fuzzy. Top management needs to ensure that individuals and teams have specific responsibilities for different aspects of the BCMS, and that these roles are well understood across the organization. This avoids confusion and ensures that someone is actually accountable for every critical element of business continuity.
Okay, moving on to proactive risk management. Clause 6.1. This feels like a shift, doesn't it? From simply reacting to problems to actively trying to prevent them or, minimize their impact. What's the key expectation here for top management?
The core expectation really is that top management fosters a mindset where identifying and addressing business continuity risks and opportunities is a continuous activity.
Opportunities too, okay.
Yeah. This means ensuring that risk assessments are conducted regularly, that potential disruptions are analyzed, and that plans are put in place to mitigate those risks. It's about moving from a reactive stance firefighting to a proactive one, anticipating potential challenges.
And that proactive stance naturally leads to setting measurable goals, Clause 6.2. It's not enough to just say you want to be resilient. You need to define what that looks like in, concrete terms.
Exactly. Top management is responsible for establishing business continuity objectives that are not only aligned with the policy, but also measurable. This means setting specific targets for things like recovery times, RTOs, data restoration points, RPOs, and the successful completion of testing exercises.
Right.
Without these measurable objectives, it's pretty much impossible to gauge the effectiveness of the BCMS.
And just setting the goals isn't enough, is it? The briefing implies that top management needs to ensure there are actual plans and processes in place to achieve them, and importantly, that these are integrated into the day-to-day operations. How does that integration happen effectively?
Well, integration happens when business continuity considerations become a standard part of decision-making processes. For example, when launching a new product or service, the business continuity implications should be assessed up front.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or when designing new IT systems, backup and recovery capabilities should be built in from the start. It's about making resilience an inherent part of how the organization operates, not just an afterthought you tack on later.
So we've talked about how the clauses outlining leadership's responsibilities. Now, the briefing also clarifies the fundamental why, the purpose, and intended outcome of ISO 22301.2019. For a busy executive, what's the core message here?
The core message is that ISO 23301 provides a framework to ensure the organization is prepared for, can respond effectively to, and can recover from pretty much any disruption. When you frame it that way, it becomes clear that implementing such a system is really a fundamental responsibility of leadership. To protect the organization and its stakeholders.
And the intended outcome goes beyond just surviving a disruption, right? It seems like it's more about minimizing the impact, ensuring continuity of critical operations, and ultimately safeguarding the organization's reputation and viability.
Precisely. The intended outcome is to build organizational resilience, reduce the likelihood and impact of disruptions, and maintain the delivery of essential products and services. This not only protects the bottom line, but also builds trust with customers, partners, regulators. The briefing also rightly points out that it aids in meeting legal, regulatory, and stakeholder expectations. Big one.
Okay. Now, for senior management, maybe focused more on efficiency, the briefing highlights some key features of ISO 22301 that actually help streamline things. Let's talk about the PDCA cycle. It sounds maybe like another piece of management jargon. Why should a CEO care about it in the context of business continuity?
Well, because the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle is actually a proven framework for continuous improvement. It's familiar to many managers.
Right.
And it's a systematic way to ensure that your BCMS isn't static, but constantly evolving and improving based on experience and testing. This ongoing refinement means your resilience capabilities become stronger and hopefully more efficient over time, reducing the risk of failures when a real disruption hits.
Right. It's about built-in improvement. The briefing also mentions the high-level structure. If an organization already has other ISO certifications, say ISO 9001 or 27001, how does this benefit them when implementing a BCMS?
Oh, hugely. The high-level structure provides a common framework, same clause numbers, same core text for all the major ISO management system standards.
Yeah.
So this means that if you already have certifications like ISO 9001 for quality or ISO 27001 for information security, integrating a BCMS becomes significantly easier. There's much less duplication of effort, and you can leverage existing processes and documentation, which, saves time and resources.
And that makes a compelling case for efficiency, definitely. And the risk-based approach is another key feature mentioned. We touched on identifying risks earlier, but how does this approach contribute to a more efficient BCMS overall?
It contributes by focusing your efforts and resources on the areas where the risks to your business continuity are actually highest. Instead of trying to boil the ocean with a blanket approach, you prioritize the most critical threats and vulnerabilities and allocate your resources accordingly.
Got it.
This targeted approach ensures that your investments in resilience are focused and deliver the greatest impact for the effort.
Finally, on the features front, the briefing points to the importance of documented information. Now, while it might sound a bit bureaucratic, what's the real efficiency gain from having well-maintained policies, plans, procedures, records, etc.?
Well, well-documented information provides clarity, consistency, and, crucially, a reliable guide for responding to disruptions. It ensures that everyone knows what to do, even when they're under immense pressure.
Okay.
This reduces confusion, minimizes errors during a crisis, and ultimately leads to a more efficient and effective recovery. Plus, it really facilitates knowledge transfer if key personnel leave the organization. You're not reliant on one person's memory.
So it's essentially about having a clear playbook that everyone can follow when things go wrong. Now, making sure this BCMS isn't just a paper exercise, collecting dust is crucial. The briefing emphasizes the need for integration and alignment.
How do you ensure business continuity activities are truly embedded in day-to-day operations?
It requires a conscious effort, really, to incorporate business continuity considerations into routine activities. For example, when teams develop new processes, they should also think about potential disruptions and how those processes would continue to function. Regular training and awareness programs also really help to embed a continuity mindset across the entire organization.
It's about making resilience a habit, not just a plan.
Yeah.
And how does the BCMS align with the broader strategic goals of the organization to demonstrate its value? Because that's key for senior management buy-in. Absolutely. Alignment happens when you can clearly show how business continuity contributes directly to achieving the organization's strategic objectives. For instance, if a strategic goal is to enhance customer satisfaction, a robust BCMS that ensures uninterrupted service delivery directly supports that goal.
Mhm.
By linking business continuity outcomes like successful tests or smooth recovery from minor incidents to key performance indicators, you demonstrate its strategic value rather than just its cost.
And when it comes to resources, the briefing talks about optimization. It's not about endless spending, but about smart allocation, right?
Exactly. Resource optimization means ensuring that the resources you allocate to business continuity, whether it's budget, personnel time, or technology, are used effectively and efficiently. It's about avoiding duplication, leveraging existing resources wherever possible, maybe using shared infrastructure, and making sure that every investment in resilience delivers a tangible benefit relative to the risk it mitigates.
In today's, well, incredibly dynamic environment, things change rapidly. The briefing rightly emphasizes the imperative of continuous improvement clause 10.2, I think. A BCMS can't be a one-time project, can it? Set it and forget it.
Oh, absolutely not. The business environment, the threats you face, technology, your own organization, they're all constantly evolving. A BCMS that isn't regularly reviewed, tested, and updated will quickly become obsolete and, frankly, ineffective when you actually need it. Continuous improvement is essential to maintain its relevance and effectiveness.
And how do you know if you're actually getting better? The briefing mentions the importance of key performance indicators, or KPIs. What kind of metrics should senior leaders be paying attention to specifically?
Leaders should focus on KPIs that directly reflect the BCMS's ability to meet its stated objectives. This includes things like, as we mentioned, recovery time objectives, RTOs, are we meeting them in tests? Recovery point objectives, RPOs, how much data loss is acceptable, and are we within that? And crucially, the results and lessons learned from your business continuity exercises and tests. These metrics provide concrete evidence of your preparedness, or lack thereof.
And that leads directly to management reviews. These aren't just tick box exercises, hopefully.
Yeah.
They're critical for assessing performance and driving that improvement, aren't they?
Precisely. Management reviews are a vital opportunity for top leadership to step back and assess the overall effectiveness and suitability of the BCMS. By reviewing the results of internal audits, the outcomes of exercises, feedback from stakeholders, and, heaven forbid, any real incidents, leadership can identify areas for improvement and ensure that the BCMS continues to meet the organization's changing needs and strategic objectives.
So we've covered the framework, the principles, but the briefing circles back to a fundamental point. Leadership in action, especially during the ongoing implementation and maintenance of the BCMS. It's not just about kicking it off. What does that sustained engagement look like from the top?
Yeah, it means that top management remains actively involved, visibly championing the BCMS, ensuring that it consistently receives the necessary resources and support, not just at budget time and holding individuals and teams accountable for their defined responsibilities. It's about demonstrating a real long-term commitment to resilience, not just during the initial implementation phase when maybe there's a lot of focus.
And that commitment is often reflected right back in the business continuity policy itself, which we discussed earlier. It really serves as that visible statement of leadership commitment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The policy, when it's endorsed and actively communicated by top management, sets the tone and provides the mandate for the entire BCMS. It underscores the organization's commitment to preparedness and continuity for everyone to see.
And drilling down further, the briefing highlights the need for clearly defined and communicated roles, and even suggests potentially a dedicated BCMS coordinator or team. Why is that level of ownership and focus so important?
Because managing a comprehensive BCMS requires dedicated effort and expertise. It's not usually something someone can do effectively off the side of their desk.
Yeah.
A designated coordinator or team can provide the focus and drive necessary to develop, implement, maintain, and importantly, test the system effectively. Giving them the appropriate authority to work across different departments is also crucial for successful integration and avoiding siloed efforts.
But a BCMS isn't just about formal structures and plans. It's also very much about the people within the organization. The briefing touches on fostering a culture of resilience. How can top management actually cultivate that kind of environment?
By actively promoting awareness of business continuity, making it part of regular communications, by providing relevant training and realistic exercises that people participate in, and by generally encouraging employee participation in resilience efforts, maybe recognizing contributions. When employees understand the importance of business continuity and, crucially, know their specific roles during a disruption, the entire organization becomes inherently more prepared and adaptable.
And when a crisis inevitably hits, that's the ultimate test, isn't it? The briefing emphasizes the critical role of leadership in making informed decisions and guiding the response based on the established BC plans. What's the key message for leaders in that moment?
Yeah, the key message is probably to remain calm, rely on the established plans and procedures that have been practiced, and provide clear and decisive direction. Leadership's role during a crisis is to reassure stakeholders, employees, customers, the public guide the response efforts according to the plan, make tough calls where needed, and ensure that the organization follows the agreed-upon strategies for minimizing impact and recovering operations as quickly as feasible.
So as we bring this together, what are the absolute key takeaways from this senior management briefing on ISO 22301.2019 that you'd want every top manager to really grasp?
I'd say the most critical takeaways are, first, that leadership is not optional. It's foundational for any successful BCMS. You can't delegate this away completely. Second, strategic alignment is key. Business continuity must be integrated into the organization's overall goals and daily operations to deliver real value, not just be a compliance function. Third, continuous improvement is absolutely essential in a constantly changing world. A static plan is a dead plan. And finally, clear, consistent communication builds trust with all stakeholders, internal and external, by demonstrating your commitment to resilience before, during, and after any event.
Those are powerful points that really underscore the strategic importance of a BCMS. And the briefing concludes, quite helpfully, with some practical first steps for organizations looking to implement or perhaps improve their business continuity capabilities.
Yes, starting with a thorough gap analysis is a very practical recommendation. It provides a clear, objective understanding of where your current arrangements stand in relation to the specific requirements of ISO 223.1.2019 and highlights the areas that need the most attention first.
Right, think of that gap analysis as your current baseline, your starting point. And from there, it essentially becomes a roadmap for building and refining your BCMS. A roadmap that, as we've discussed, really needs the active guidance and unwavering support of top management to be truly effective.
Exactly. It provides a structured path forward, ensuring that your efforts are focused, prioritized, and aligned with the specific needs and risks of your organization.
So after this deep dive into the senior management briefing on ISO 22301.2019, the message seems pretty clear. A well-implemented BCMS, championed by leadership and strategically integrated, isn't just another cost center. It's a vital investment in protecting the organization, enhancing its resilience, and ultimately building greater confidence among all your stakeholders. And it certainly appears the benefits demonstrably outweigh the necessary efforts.
Absolutely. By proactively managing business continuity, organizations can significantly reduce their vulnerability to disruptions and, importantly, emerge stronger and more trusted in the face of adversity.
Now, for you, the senior leader listening in, and maybe consider this as a final thought, what is the potential cost to your organization, not just in dollars, but in reputation, customer trust, employee morale, operational stability of being unprepared for a significant disruption? How does that potential downside really compare to the proactive investment in building a robust business continuity management system? It's a strategic equation worth careful consideration for the long-term health and, frankly, the survival and success of your organization.